Neil Ratner Rock Doc here with a story. Okay, so this past week we celebrated Christine McVie's birthday. And today I thought I would tell you a few things about Christine and her early bandmates in Fleetwood Mac that you might not know. But a little background first, okay? So, the original band consisted of guitarist Peter Green, Jeremy Spencer, and drummer Mick Fleetwood. Now, Green and Fleetwood really wanted John McVie on bass, who they had played with in John Mayall's band, the the Blues Breakers. And they even named the new band Fleetwood Mac to entice him. The Fleetwood, obviously, for Mick Fleetwood, and the Mac for McVie. But for the moment, McVie was very happy playing with the stable John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, and he decided to stay with Mayall. So, Fleetwood, Green, and Spencer asked Bob Brunig to play bass with the understanding that he was gone if McVie changed his mind. All right, and the band with that configuration played their first gig in August 1967. Okay, but it wasn't long before McVie replaced Brunig, and he brought along his wife, Christine Perfect, who became Christine McVie. She had been in this great band called Chicken Shack, and she actually came along as a session musician on Fleetwood Mac's second album, and then she was added as a permanent member of the band. And finally, the band added 18-year-old guitarist Danny Kerwin shortly after releasing that second album. But the Fleetwood Mac of those early days had major problems with guitar players, let me tell you. Okay. And it started with Peter Green. Now, according to Christine McVie, somebody gave him bad acid. It freaked him out. I saw one Peter Green leave and a completely different one come back, pale, wan, depressed, a little mad, really. Now, around the same time, Green felt very conflicted about the money he was making as a rock star while there were children in the world going hungry. So he gave away most of his money and possessions, and he tried to convince the band to work only for charity, keeping enough money to cover their basic expenses. Well, this didn't go over well, and the other members of the group said no way, and eventually Green left the band. Okay, wait, I'm gonna let my cat Shroomy in. You know how that goes, all right? Wait, I'll come back to my story in a second. All right, now, around this, okay, so we know about that. So the next to go, was Jeremy Spencer. Okay, now while on tour in Los Angeles in February of '71, Jeremy said he was going to go out and get a magazine. I think they were playing the whiskey, and he just went out and said, I'm going to go get a magazine, but he never came back. Now they looked all over for him, and after several days of frantically searching, the band discovered that Spencer had joined a religious cult called the Children of God. Now, they were liable for the remaining shows on the tour, and they were able to convince Peter Green to help finish the tour, but that was very, very temporary. All right, so let's listen to a little early Fleetwood Mac doing Peter Green's song, Black Magic Woman, while I tell you the rest of the story.
Got a black magic woman.
I know you're familiar with the Santana version, but it's Peter's song, and here's the Fleetwood Mac version. Black magic woman.
Turn your back on me, baby.
So this is a live version from back in the day at the Boston Tea Party of all places. A great club if you ever went there. where Jay Giles was actually found by my friend the Big M. All right, now Spencer was replaced by Bob Welch. And although Welch and Kerwin more or less got along, eventually they got into it. You go, Peter Green. Great guitar player. Now, Danny had been drinking more and more, and in 1972, before a concert on their U.S. tour, he flew into a rage, banging his head and fists against the wall, and then he proceeded to smash his Gibson Les Paul, and he refused to go on stage. The band had to finish, well, they had to do the set without him. They struggled, and after Mick Fleetwood fired him that night, and later on he said, it was a torment for him really to be up there, and it reduced him to someone who you just looked at and thought, my God. It was more a thing of, although he was asked to leave, the way I was looking at it was, I hoped it was almost putting him out of his agony. A P.S. on Kerwin. In the late 70s, Danny's mental health deteriorated significantly, and since then, he played no further part in the music industry, and unfortunately, Danny just passed away this past June. All right, so Welch left the band after a tour in 74, and Mick Fleetwood again went looking for a replacement. So Fleetwood was in LA checking out the new Sound City Studios. Yeah. Now, the house engineer, Ken Olsen, wanted to play him something that had been recorded at the new studio. And he chose the song Frozen Love by the duo Buckingham and Nicks. Now, Fleetwood loved it and was introduced to the guitarist from the band, Lindsey Buckingham, who coincidentally was at Sound City that day recording some demos. Now, Fleetwood soon asked him to join. Buckingham agreed on the condition that his music partner and girlfriend, Stevie Nicks, also became part of the band. Fleetwood agreed, and Buckingham and Nicks joined, and then you had the classic lineup that we all know so well. They played their first gig New Year's Eve 1974, just 4 weeks after the previous incarnation had split up. Yeah, so that's the story of the early Fleetwood Mac. Of course, that configuration of Fleetwood Mac, you know, the stories are legendary. And I think I've told you about some of the songs on Rumors and the relationships between they were all sleeping with each other. And it was actually something that produced some great music. All right. All right, we'll go out with Peter jamming. Yeah, Peter Green, great guitar player. I think he's out there again. All right, Neil Ratner Rat Doc, that's my story. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day, and I'll see you real soon for another great rock and roll story. Yeah. All right. Have a nice day today. See you soon. Bye.